Good evening and welcome. We're back. It's Locking Horns. Here we are once again sitting down to talk to a local heathen. This gentleman right here has actually driven 2.5 hours to come see me, to come do this. So welcome, Jeremiah Warborn. Good to have you.
Man, thank you for having me.
So what we've been doing is pretty much talking with talking with people about who you are, how you grew up, and then really how you became heathen. So let's hear a little bit about you. Originally from Virginia, yes?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So tell me about that. What kind of childhood did you have?
All right, so I was born here in Roanoke. Lived here for 2 years and then moved to a place called Glade Spring, Virginia. Lived there most of my life. Grew up a Southern Baptist. Most of my family, well, all my family, basically, they're all Southern Baptists. And grew up in that type of environment.
Right.
Never really felt anything when I did go to church. It just didn't click with me. Never paid attention to the pastor. I would always be playing under the pews, being that kid,
Right.
you know. But when I started really started growing apart from Christianity was when my grandparents died when I was 21 years old. They died back to back within a year of each other. And ever since then, man, I stopped going to church. Had a lot of anger, a lot of hate towards the world, just because like I was grieving and all that, man. But it just never really clicked with me.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was not really forced, but it just I wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
With it or anything like that. So
when I was 18, I just said, I kind of like washed my hands of going to church. So I understand what your position is. For me, it was always just like, it didn't click. It didn't set right. Something wasn't there. I felt like a piece was missing. There was no real comfortable pillow to sit on.
Right.
That, and I had a blatant disregard and dislike and bad taste in my mouth for the history.
Right.
Last episode I was talking with Drew, and it was all about, based on the Christian history, it was, convert or kill, and all is forgiven. So the history really turned me off, and I just couldn't sit down and comfortably rationalize the fact that there are hundreds of different versions of biblical stories. Some would contradict each other. Some would have, oh no, it wasn't this person, it was that person.
Right.
There's countless documents and stories and historical references have been excluded from the Christian faith that we've been taught. So why the secrecy? What's so bad? But again, There was this whole discomfort with lack of something clicking, just didn't feel right. It wasn't for me.
Right. And then you try to figure out which one is the right version of the different versions of the
So
Bible.
I grew up in the Episcopal faith of the Christian church, and then as I was growing up, there's Baptist, there's Catholic, there's Presbyterian. What the hell?
Right. Yeah. So whenever I got married back in 2013, I wouldn't say I was an atheist, but I really didn't believe in much of anything at that time.
Right.
At that point in my life, because I was still I really got to the music scene, metal, hardcore scene and stuff, and a lot of they, even though most bands like that, most hardcore bands are positive lyrics, but you also have hardcore bands that are negative,
very
and
negative.
they teach you a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And so I was just in that type of crowd, and that was my mindset in that kind of environment. So when I met my wife, which we're divorced now, but anyways, when I met her, her family was Catholic. So when her parents met me, all the rest of her family loved me, but her parents were extremely judgmental towards me just because of the way I looked. I still had my earlobe stretched out to 2 inches. I had surgery done, but I didn't have any plugs in at the time, and they were just saggy earlobes.
Right.
But they judged me by the way I looked, and I could tell, And so it took forever for them to like me.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's still in the back of their head there was.
Right. So the only way that they, that they started coming around and, accepting me for, who I am and all these other things, was to convert over to Catholicism. And I did it mostly for, my ex-wife and stuff. But, again,
you had to make a presentation.
Right. And never really I tried to do it a different way, the Christian path. And it just, again, it did not click with me. And, her and I split in 2018, January 2018. And this is when I started my transition over to Norse paganism for heathenry.
Right.
So, as cliche as this sounds, you probably what I'm gonna say, man. It's like the TV show Vikings.
Yeah.
When it first aired, the first season, I watched it. I think it was in 2015 is when I first watched it. And again, this is when I was still going to the Catholic Church and everything. But it piqued my interest. So,
and it's the History Channel, so
right.
Yeah.
So when her and I split, I could really delve into it and get into it, and I started doing a lot of research, reading up about a lot of things, and the rest is history, and this is who I am today. And I've never felt more alive in my life, never more happy, content, strong, mentally, physically, and emotionally, spiritually. Like it's something that I feel in my blood and my bones. And I tell anyone that if they want to talk to me about it or whatever other type of faith that they believe in, whether it be Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever.
Right.
I tell them whatever pulls at you to center your core, go with that path because that is where you belong. Yeah. And I was going to touch base on this. I feel like I never belonged in a church.
I've heard this before from other guests.
Man. Yeah. And I'm not bashing it. I'm not bashing any other another person's faith or whatever they believe in at all, because I feel like every religion has a place in this world, or every type of faith has a place in this world. So, being very spiritual and very open-minded, that's who I am, and that's what heathenry has shown me to be more open-minded, to be more spiritual.
Yeah.
So
during your transition into heathenry, where did you start? So like you said, you picked up books and you started reading, and the Vikings series really kind of opened your mind to there's more stuff out there. But where did it start? What was the driving factor?
The driving factor for me was I think it was right at the beginning of 2019. This is after an incident happened with my brother, and I was going through a really tough time in my life, and this right here, man, is what got me through a lot of shit. a lot of tough times in my life.
Yeah.
But so this was right after I want to say 3 days after Christmas, and I was at work, and I worked for TJ Maxx at the time, a retail place, and I went to lunch break one day, come back. And as soon as I go back up front, because I was running the cash register that day, and one of my coworkers said, "Hey, there's somebody that dropped off a book for you." I said, "What do you mean?" And it's right over there on the table. And they had
a customer came to your store and left you a book anonymously.
Yes, I still to this day do not know who it is. Whoever left me that book, thank you, because it is amazing. And it was in a bag. I opened it up, and it was a Norse mythology book.
Yes.
And that I'm not gonna lie, man, I teared up because
somebody saw something.
They knew. This person obviously knows who I am, and they saw me, wear my Mjolnir, and they knew that I was, into the heathen faith. And dude, it's that just from that moment on, I started reading that book, and that's what made me fully get a grip on it.
Last week when I was sitting here with Drew, we were discussing, how we connect with our gods. Now, some people have the list of the gods that they try to connect with or honor in their own way. Some people have a single god of the pantheon. Some have two or three. What's your direction?
Thor.
Thor.
Thor is my utmost single god of the pantheon, and that's why I was saying this is my driving force. This is what gives me strength and courage in everyday life.
Maybe that strength and courage was already there. You just needed somebody to figure out how to open it up.
And they definitely did.
For you to tap into it, for you to recognize that it was there.
And my favorite stories in that book are Thor, man.
Yeah.
He's
Thor teaches us, or his stories teach us how to be, how to live large, laugh out loud, enjoy your moments, because you don't know when you're going to have them. Protect what is yours.
Absolutely.
Protect those around you. Make sure that you are going the direction that is necessary to care for and maintain that which is yours.
This is how I live my life every single day now, is that like I live like every day as if it's my last. And now when I hang around friends, which is a very close circle of friends, including you guys, I tell my friends I love them when I leave, because you never know if I'm gonna see them again.
Yeah.
So that's how I live my life. And I don't know if you know this story. I told Torsig about this. It was about 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. So I had a dream, and I had a dream about Thor. And this is just as real as you and I are talking right now. So I had a dream, and he was levitating in the sky. Thunder and black cloud, lightning cracking all around him. And there was lightning emanated from him and around him. And his eyes were glowing bright white. So I looked up and started levitating towards him. And right when I got to him, we merged. And then as soon as that happened, I woke up. And I was up for a whole entire hour trying to wrap my mind around what just happened, because it felt so real. And I jumped out of my bed. I jumped. I didn't just get up startled and woke up. I sat up and jumped out of my bed. And I was just the energy that I felt.
Yeah. The endorphins are pumping.
Man.
You're in shock because you woke up instantaneously, and you're trying to figure out how in the hell you're trying to tear it apart. Right. What the hell just happened? And in the process of all this, your adrenaline is going into insanity. And
yes,
there's an essence, and I use this word a lot. The essence of the gods. There are things that we connect with as humans to things of greater power. So for me, whenever there's a storm rolling through and I'm at work, guess what? The garage doors are going up.
Yep.
Because I want that.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't always go outside, but I want to be a part of that. When the storm comes through, the hair on the back of my head stands up. The hair on my leg stands up. My heart starts pumping. The adrenaline's pumping, and I feel so much more alive for opening the doors and stepping outside for 15 minutes and just trying to absorb that energy, because it's being given freely.
Yes. And it's the energy that you feel from a storm is just so magnifying and intense. It's there's no words to explain it. And that's what I'm getting at for that dream I had about Thor. I cannot express what I felt at that time. Still can't, because it's
the human mind. It's too much for the human mind.
Yes, and that's how I know that my gods exist.
So it was told to me last week that when we were discussing, the essence of the gods, and Drew was telling me that he cannot picture Thor as a humanoid. He can't. He can't picture. His brain doesn't allow him to contemplate the gods in humanoid form, but more their natural forces. Thor being lightning, Frey being the wilderness, Njord being the water, etc., etc., etc. You know, he is a person who strives to acquire wisdom, and he thought that Odin was going to be the direction that he went, but Odin's just a piece of his puzzle. There's more facets to his life. There's other gods that have touched him, and I think that's for all of us. You know, I too strongly grasp the essence of Thor when it is presented to me, but for the past decade, I've considered myself a Tierson. You know, following what I strive to think is right and wrong, and how do I take that sense, that essence of justice, of right and wrong, of right doing, to my workplace, my everyday life. Sure, I'm human. I fuck up. I make bad decisions, bad choices, but that's the best part about being human, is you can move forward.
And you learn from the lessons.
And you learn from the lesson. It's cool.
Scholar.
I follow you on Facebook. You've got this big thing of fitness going on, and for I've known you, I think, 3 years now.
Yes.
And you've always been so
I'm a very humble man, though.
Well,
very
I know you're a very humble man, but sometimes it's nice to take the accomplishments.
Yes.
I look up, I won't say look up, but I admire people that do what you do. I mean,
it's hard to make time for stuff like that when you have a family to look after.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, it's not that. I think that would be one of the, I'm not going to call it an excuse. That's one of the best things I can think of why someone would not be able to join the gym, because if you have kids.
Yeah. I've done the gym membership things, and I've done the martial arts membership things over the past couple of years, and dipped and tasted and felt out and did some things and tried to stay active. But I have a family, I have a house to maintain, I have a job to keep up, all the stuff.
It takes up your schedule, and that's completely
understandable.
understandable.
And that kind of stuff in my head is it's personal time, but it's not. Sure, that's time you've set aside for yourself to go do the things to make yourself better, but that's time away from the home.
Yes.
So, and I've lifted, I've done the physical lifting aspects of working out, but I've always been a body weight kind of guy. I'm a body weight.
And calisthenics, man, that's one of the best. Like, the people who just do strictly calisthenics, man, there are different types of strength, and those people that can do like flag poles, like take over that pole over there and do a human flag pole, that takes a lot of strength to do
core strength. It's all core.
It's ridiculous.
And shoulders and traps
and
and arms.
Like a full planche, like somebody like having their hands on the floor and they can hold their body up off the floor like that.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
That's like Superman strength.
Yeah, it's the pinnacle of the human body.
It is.
Mr. Olympia is cool. Bodybuilding competitions are cool.
Man,
they're cool, but
they use steroids.
But that's
drugs.
and
it's not for me.
Because one of the questions I was going to ask you was natty or not, right?
Absolutely all natural, baby.
Damn right.
Because that is the best way to achieve anything, especially like your physical aspect, man. That's the best way to achieve a physical body, because it's going to stick with you for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Until the day you die.
Yeah.
And that's my ultimate goal, is to be mobile until the day I die.
Yeah. You see these 60, 65, 70, 75-year-old calisthenic bodybuilders
man.
that are just jacked.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you have to be natural. Yeah. You almost have to be natural to be that old and still doing it. Because if you start putting shit into your body at that age, you're going to fucking kill yourself. Like that.
Yeah. I know, like, eventually people do, like, depending on the person's genetics, because that has a big role in everything. That's, like, hands down, like, rules out a lot of things. But some people, like, will have to, like, get on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, which is completely safe for someone to do.
Yeah.
By a doctor.
Yeah.
Get prescribed by a doctor, and they, do your doses, whatever. So that's the only thing. Like, if I ever did anything and my testosterone level got really low, because that's what makes a man, is that and that gives him his energy, improves his mood, and
Yeah.
everything else is energy, is testosterone.
Yeah.
And when you have to be on TRT, like, you know, that's something that's going to be natural, or you can just be like on just testosterone.
Yeah.
And that's something that's just completely natural, because your body, like as a man, that's what your body needs. Is
Yeah.
your testosterone. You have to keep it up at a certain level.
Yeah. And I'm almost 40, and they say, you know, between 30 and 35, that's really when that meter starts to come down of your
Right.
your body's ability to continue to produce testosterone.
Yes.
So, but, you know, my experience through martial arts is like, I don't need that shit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need that. There's so many things that I can do for myself to stay fit, healthy, energized, and, you know, I hate drugs.
Yeah.
Like prescription drugs specifically. Like,
Same.
I don't
even
want.
like taking antibiotics or anything
I don't
like
want to
that.
take a Tylenol.
Yeah.
I hate popping pills. It's just something that naturally disgusts me. Because as I was growing up, I was one of those kids that, oh, here's a bag of 18 medications, take 3 times a day. When I was 18, I threw the fucking thing away,
Yeah.
and that changed my life. And immediately after that, I got into martial arts, and that changed my life. And then I moved here, and then I met Jeff, and that changed my life. So it's a beautiful thing, you know, what you can do with your body when you take care of your body.
Absolutely.
Skull to that.
School.
We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna be right back. So back from our break, we just had to fill our cups, you know, because beer is good.
Yes, it is.
Unfortunately, no mead tonight.
But mead
No mead
is better.
True.
It is. That's what you would call nectar of the gods, because it truly is. Man, that is the oldest. Matter of fact, that's the oldest known recipe for
An alcoholic
alcoholic beverage.
Yep. Somewhere around the 2,000 years prior to the creation of grape wine, fermented grape
Yep.
wine. But I've been brewing mead, I think, now for 7 years, and that in itself is a journey.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
I plan to open my own meadery sometime soon, and like by 2025 is like my number, is like my goal date. I want to stop working for the man and actually have my own business.
You can do it, man. You can do it.
Oh, we're working towards it. It is said that Odin survives off nothing but mead. Mead. That's it. That's all. Yeah. He'll feast
It's
every now
about
and
it.
then, but what he survives off of is mead.
Thor, that's all he survives off of is meat and meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all he does.
Like water is a delicacy.
I remember that story about Thor whenever the giants tricked him and they made like the magic that they did on his horn is like drinking
drinking the
an
ocean. Yeah.
And he just
said-
kept drinking and kept drinking.
And what Thor created that day was the tides.
Yes.
Yeah, because he drank so much that he lowered the level of the oceans.
Yeah. Only Thor.
So
All right.
our faith, and the stories that come with it are surrounded with exaggeration. And that's all well and good, and I think part of coming to an understanding for yourself in the faith is discerning these exaggerations.
Yes.
So talking about Thor drinking from the horn, yeah, it's an explanation through story that generates an understanding, once again, of natural forces. And I think that is just incredible that the Norse heathen pagan faith is surrounded in tales of chaos and order. And Jeff and I talked about this at length some time ago. Everything's designed by chaos to evolve into an order. There has to be that balance. Midgard
Without
was
balance, man, you have nothing.
Midgard was created through chaos, and then
Yeah.
order came in, and now we have this beautiful balance. Well, sometimes not so beautiful,
Right.
but humanity has thrived on this planet hundreds of thousands of years before gods existed. And I believe, as someone who has come through multiple faiths, that yes, religion is a construct of man.
It is.
There's 3,000 plus known deities worshipped by humanity right now. You're wrong, or you're right, but that doesn't matter. It's the essence. That's the important part. It's how you live your life as a human being, first and foremost. All religions, over the course of the planet, have their way, their path, whether it be to enlightenment, whether it be to attainment, or whether it be to live a good life, be a good person. You know, what you believe is your own damn business.
Absolutely.
How you portray what you believe to others is everybody's business.
Absolutely.
So,
I think when you try to force what you believe in on someone else, that's just wrong.
let's sit down.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation.
Right.
I really do
Don't
hope in
try
the
to
future
force
that I
it
get
in.
an opportunity to bring in some Christian
Right.
folk. Let me bring in,
Bring in people with different types of
absolutely.
faiths.
Let's
Yeah,
just sit down and
yeah.
have a conversation. Let's talk about it. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but I am going to say that's interesting, but it's not what I believe.
Right.
Let me tell you what I believe. You know, and educate yourself, figure it out on your own, and you'll be all right. You know.
Yeah.
And I think I had to do that with my spirituality, with my understanding of what my faith is. And I found myself rowing the same boat as other like-minded folk, you among them.
And I'm glad that we have all crossed paths
Oh yeah.
and met one another.
So we were
It's
discussing.
fate. We all meet for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a big, huge, firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Whether
Do you
it be
believe
good or
in?
bad.
Do you believe in fate?
I do. Absolutely.
Do you believe that you have an aspect of control over your fate? Or is it more of a mental construct that you think you have a control over your fate, and whether you do or not, shit's going to happen anyway?
I think it all depends on what type of decision that you make. Making good decisions, or if you make it's like you said, it's about balance. You make a bad decision, what's going to happen? You'll have a little bit of chaos, and if you make a good decision, you have order and structure,
Yeah.
and discipline,
Yeah.
amongst other things.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how I view that.
There's a monk on, I think he's Tibetan monk on Instagram, and he just has simple statements and discussions. I was watching one today where it says, you can be the warrior and you can be the monk and still be the same person.
Absolutely.
And then in a later video, he was talking about the demon hand. The ability to destroy is my interpretation of that.
Right.
You have to have that in order to defend and protect. But again, you can still be that monk who is peaceful and calm on the outside, but you have to have intimate knowledge of destruction
Yes.
in order to have creation. So again, it comes back to this balance, this idea of order and chaos. There has to be both. There has to be both. Because if you are, like he said, of the demon hand and ill-willed, you are a threat to humankind. But
Absolutely.
if you have understand that you access that force of destruction for purposes necessary to bring about order and balance, it has to be necessary. So in our lore, we see fire and ice. Our creation myth is when fire and ice met in the Gunungagap, the yawning void, and destruction and chaos ensued, but what became of it was order and balance. Without one, you cannot have the other. I have a yin-yang tattooed on my back,
Yeah.
specifically because through my martial arts training, I understand the necessity and the ideology of that symbol. You cannot have one without the other and be balanced. It's impossible. So, but in our faith, you see, the Vikings, they went out and destroyed and pillaged and raped and plundered and did all the things, but that was so that they could provide for back home.
It's all about survival.
It was about survival, but they had to have that destructive capability in order to provide for those that they care about.
Yes.
It's just,
What were you talking about, like the monk, and he's being a peaceful man, and then he also has a warrior side to him. Don't lose yourself in one over the other.
yeah.
You always have to have both.
Yeah, there has to be that idea of balance, and you can see this in your everyday life. You wake up, crappy mood, or just mentally drained or fucked up. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to do nothing. That negativity is going to follow you throughout the day.
Absolutely.
And waking up in that mood does not necessarily your choice or your decision, but how will you address it? How will you change that before you have to go interact with people, interact with the community, talk, do your job?
Yeah.
There has to be some way to center yourself. And like we've discussed, we have strived to attain such through the constructs of the Old Norse heathen pagan faith. I say it this way because we really don't know how many different ways you can word it. Norse
Right.
heathenry, North pagan. You're not Viking. You're never going to be Viking.
No.
We didn't live then,
No.
and we didn't live there.
Vikings do not exist today, and it's funny when people ask me, like, "Are you a Viking?" Well, no. Why? How would I be a Viking?
Yeah.
I said the closest thing to a Viking these days is the military. It's a very true statement. But where you're talking about, like, what kind of mindset that you have when you wake up, I'm thankful for every day when I wake up. That's the first thing I say. I thank the gods every day for my existence. I wake up, I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for this day.
I
Thank
got
you for
another
giving
day.
me another day to accomplish whatever I put my mind to, and to try to be in a good mood and treat others how I want to be treated,
Yeah,
which is with respect, honor, integrity, all that.
yeah. Level-headedness, discipline.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
many things.
There's
you
so
can do.
many things we
Yeah.
can talk about.
Yeah. But let's
Yeah.
let's jump into tattoos, because you're
Okay.
covered.
Yes.
You're covered. We're not stripping him,
No.
but he's covered.
No. It might melt your eyeballs if I strip. I don't know. I'm kidding.
How many
Yeah.
of your tattoos are faith related?
So my whole entire chest, I have Fenrir on this side. I have the bear's head on this side because the wolf and the bear are my two favorite animals. The bear represents strength and power, and the wolf represents cunning and agility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also I think a wolf also represents being fierce as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, more so this is more the faith related because it's Fenrir.
Mm-hmm.
I just got the bear's head just because like I said.
You needed another
Also-
animal on your chest.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely, but also just because there are those two sides of me. I'm not as strong as a bear, but as far as working out and everything and trying to keep up my body physically, being physically strong. My whole entire left arm is also faith related. So this is my blackout sleeve. I have the stage from the Helm of All on my knuckles right here.
Yeah.
Have my Irish still right here because I'm British, Irish, and German, and mostly Irish though, and that's why I got this one. And also my family, my mother, for my birthday, gave me, I think it's like 3 or 4 pieces of paper stapled together, and it was in my family's history, and they're mostly
there you
like
go.
Scottish and Irish.
Nice.
So the Crow family is really strong in my family tree, which was my grandmother's side. So I have the Vegvisir, the Viking compass, on my elbow right here with all the runes around it. Have Thor's rune right here. Have Odin's right here, which is Thorisaz, right? That's how you say it. Could go either way, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And Ansu's, which is
Anzu's father
yeah.
rune.
Right. And so the next one I'm going to get is on the inside of my arm right here, which is going to be Tears rune.
How long did it take for you to figure out or decide that the time was right to ink yourself in an image or symbology of the faith? I'll put it to you like this. It took me 10 years. And for the first 9 years, I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not ready.
Right. The first year for me was 2018. That's when I got Fenrir on the side of my chest. No, actually, I take that back. 2017. September 2017. This was a few months before my ex-wife and I separated. We knew we were splitting up, and that's, like I said, that's when I started really delving into,
The Norse paganism.
Yes. But right then and there, that's just when I started adding on. And then I started on this arm and moving up. And I'm also going I think the very first one that I got, I'll take that back, was Fenrir. But the second one I got was the Vulcan.
The Vulcanite.
Yeah, right there on my hand, which represents the 9 realms of Norse mythology because there are 9 points. And some people associate it like, oh, that's Odin's symbol or whatever. I'm just like, you are absolutely wrong about that because a lot of people associate that with Odin, but it is not.
Or there's that carving, that stone carving that has Odin riding Sleipnir with Gungnir in his hand, and below him is
Right.
the Vulcanite, which is the first known appearance of the symbol.
Right.
And a lot of folk will believe or agree that the Vulcanite is a symbol to represent the honored dead, the Ulfheinar.
Right.
Those of Odin's choosing, which is funny because Odin doesn't really get to choose; he just gets Freya's leftovers. Because she gets to pick first.
Yeah.
It's her Valkyries that go down.
No wonder Odin stays mad all the time.
No, I don't think he's mad. I think
No,
that
I was kidding.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But you
Odin.
bring up a good point though. He may experience regret in the decision that allowed Freya to have first pick.
Right.
Okay, there's that. But
But
Odin's honored dead were fated to not be chosen by Freya. It was in their weird.
Yeah.
Norse paganism requires homework.
It does a lot of it, and
Because growing up in the Christian faith, that's just it. I grew up in it. It was an every Sunday thing.
yes,
You went to Sunday school, and then you had the church service. It was what we did. So going to Sunday school and going to the church services was the education of that faith. For me, it's 18 years.
it's a lot to undo. It's a lot to unwind.
I don't necessarily think that we should undo it.
Right. I mean, like as far as like what you believe in, it's hard to try to break free from that.
Yeah.
To break the chains, if you will.
Stay educated in.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's going to come that time where you're going to sit down with a Christian or a Hindu.
Yeah.
Or Islam.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's going to happen. It's fated to happen. You're going to have these interactions with people of other faith. Sit down and have a conversation. If you're dumb about their religion, then open your ears.
Just listen.
Yeah, just listen. Let's talk about
Not
it.
to talk, just
Yeah.
listen.
Back to the point of, you know, tattoos, permanent fixtures upon your body of religious or spiritual symbology. It took me 10 years, you know, because I didn't feel comfortable in those first 9.5 years
Right.
to permanently affix myself with imagery depicting that of my faith. It's funny you say you have Fenrir on your on your chest, as
As a
do I.
wolf. Yes.
As do I. I have it there because of, again, like I said before, I consider myself a tearsman. So mine is the face of Fenrir with the severed hand in his jaws.
Yeah.
That's on my chest.
It is extremely symbolic. It's a very, very,
And
it's a very great story.
It's incredibly symbolic, even if you don't know the story. Where do you think
Right.
the phrase "don't bite the hand that feeds you" comes from?
Exactly.
So if you see a picture of a wolf holding somebody's hand in its jaws, "don't bite the hand that feeds you," there's a lot behind that.
There is.
There's a lot involved in that. And you could sit down with a conversation with that person who has that too for an hour or more.
Right.
So for me, it took me that long to trust myself, to know that this is where I stand mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, that I felt comfortable enough to honor my God in this way.
Right.
And I see random folk with the tattoos and such where I may pose a question and they're fucking clueless.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Ivar's tattoo from the Viking series. Or this is what Ragnar had on the side of his head. These are the wrong reasons.
Right. Absolutely.
Because your mind might change.
Oh. Yes.
Absolutely. For which why you had the surgery to fix your ears, which
Right.
is an absolutely respectable thing.
Yes.
Not necessarily, you did it for yourself.
Yes. Absolutely.
Not for anybody else, because you didn't, I would assume that you didn't appreciate your image upon the world and it had to change.
Yeah. I didn't wear plugs for like 8 months. I was like, I'm never putting it back in my ears. I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and get the surgery done. And it's one of the best decisions I've made.
What's the Norse word for clipped ears? Tell me in the comments. We're gonna change your name away from Warborn.
The Heathenry tattoo on my chest, man. The reason why I chose that and the reason why I knew I wanted that so quickly was because a wolf is my spirit animal. Like I've always had, ever since I was a kid, I've always had a connection with wolves. Just a simple fact of how I feel when I look at them. They're such amazing animals. They're extremely intelligent. They hunt so well.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing about them is that they're survivors.
Period.
And they adapt so quickly to their environment. It is ridiculous how quickly they adapt to their environment. And for me as a person, I'm a survivor and a fighter and a warrior. You know, like inside of my heart, my soul, who I am as a person, that is who I am, and that's why I chose.
Do what it takes.
Yes.
To succeed.
Yes.
Whether it be for yourself, in business, in life, in wife, it doesn't matter. Something inside of you drives you to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. Never give up, man.
Here's something. You're like, I saw this video just today. Trail camera, hunting camera. Right, it's posted up. It's snowing. It's night, and you got the light that comes on to see what's out there when it picks up motion. Right. Well, it's a pack of wolves were coming through the woods, and there's like 2 or 3 that kind of lead the march. Right, and then comes this a bit bigger black wolf, and as it comes to the camera and its eyes, each one of their eyes glow in that light. But as it turned its head to the camera and just kind of grazed by, it's a one-eyed wolf. And then he's followed by 5 or 6 more.
So you think that was the alpha? The
I
black wolf?
I think that there was a very specific place in that pack for that wolf.
Right.
What it was, I don't know. But he was protected front and back.
I think it's probably definitely the alpha wolf.
He'd been around a while. He's a survivor,
Right.
blind in one eye, but I'm still here fighting with the pack.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, that is my favorite wolf is a black wolf. There's something about them that is just absolutely just leaves me speechless. Their eyes, the bright yellow,
Yeah.
piercing, fierce, like just the way that they look is just it's absolutely mesmerizing, man. Like it's like especially when the snow fall, like they get the snowflakes in their fur.
Oh yeah, just
And it's just
that feathered blanket.
Yes,
Yeah.
man, it's that. Ah, man, it's just a beautiful sight to see.
Yeah.
It's the transition from the white to the black, and it's just
Mesmerizing.
It is. It is
Skull.
absolutely skull.
There are times when I'm posed the question, how do you connect with your gods? And we touched base on this a little bit earlier, but specifically,
You asked that same question to Drew as well.
yeah,
How you connect?
how do you connect? Yeah, and he says, I get out in nature and I go hunting.
Yes.
I personally do it through a couple of different ways, and sometimes it absolutely 100% is going out and sitting my butt in the middle of the woods and just sitting there, laying against a tree and listening, breathing, being a part of, existing with, even if it's for 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
Sue and I have known each other for about 3 years, and we met. Just a random occurrence. We went to the same bonfire at somebody's house, and we met there a couple of times, and we talked a couple of times, and had good conversation a couple of times. And
Absolutely.
anything that you would like to put out there, we've got a little bit more time, and we can have another discussion.
No, we're just going to talk about physical fitness, like what started my fitness journey.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So in 2015 is when I started, April 2015. The reason why I started was because, I only weighed like 150 or 155 pounds. So being an extremely skinny person, which there's nothing wrong with being really skinny.
I'm an
or
extremely
anything
skinny
like that.
person.
There's nothing wrong with that. But, when you get a comment from someone in your family, like, you get the family gatherings and they give you hugs, things like that. And, they ask you if you're eating enough, or you look
Look at your boy, you're all but skin and bone.
Blow away in the wind and things like that. But when you get comments or people just making fun of you because you're skinny, it's just like being fat. It's most reverse, like being really skinny and thinking that people think that you can't if you physically defend yourself.
Yeah.
So I was like, what, it's time to do something about that. So I did. Set myself a goal. Wanted to gain 15 pounds. Got to that 165 goal. And I was like, what, I want to be a little bigger. Did the same thing. And, now the heaviest I ever did weigh was 205 pounds. And that was 2 years ago. And
But you're how tall?
6 foot. So, but now I weigh 185, really lean. Still feel strong, but the weight that I feel, the weight that I'm at now, feels so good. As far as energy, everything else. When I weighed 205, I ate 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day.
Right. My genetics involve a very high metabolism. I'm 6'3", 185 pounds. My ideal weight at 6'3" is probably about 210. But It is exceeding. I broke 200 pounds once in my life, and that was while the mother of my children was pregnant, and she was feeding everybody everything. I broke 200 once in my life, but I've always been, for the past 10, 12 years, about 185 pounds. I have some definition.
Yes,
I have some muscle mass.
Yeah,
but it's lean and tight.
I
move a lot faster.
Right.
Physically.
I think being lean and athletic is a lot better. I'm not saying that, being big and strong and like extremely muscular, and stuff like that is bad. But I'm saying, like, as far as like health wise, being lean and athletic is just it's something like you're strong, but you're also agile, and you have endurance as well, and you kind of had that. You have that balance. You have that mixture. Mm-hmm. You have a good mixture. You're not just one thing or the other. You have the best of both worlds.
Right. You always have to understand that your body type is by far the number one reason for where you are physically currently in your life.
Right.
And there are ways to change that, but you'll never change your body type. You could be short and stocky, and you're always going to be short and stocky. You could be tall and lean. You're always going to be tall and lean. It's how you address your body type to get to where you want to be.
Right.
I'd love to be able to put on 15, 20, maybe even 30 pounds and stack on some muscle over the next, we'll say a 2-year time frame. But in the end of it, my metabolism's going to come in and eat it all up.
It's going to say no. Yeah.
No. And when my metabolism dies, eventually in the end of my life, the gut will probably happen. I might actually attain an ass at that point in time in my life.
It's like you said, you can't change your body type, but you can change your body composition.
Yeah.
So that's like, taking in more calories, of course, and stuff like that. But working out for me is, now, of course, like, is to stay in physical shape and be in good health. But it's all most importantly is for my mental health, because it's my outlet. And so, working out is like a ritual for me. It's not, going there trying to look good for, like women, or to, be better than somebody else, or like lift more weight than that guy, or do more reps than this guy, or
anti-ego.
Yeah. Leave your ego at the door, but like I said, working out for me is like a ritual. And, people always ask, like, how do you stay so motivated? Man, motivation comes and goes like waves. I made this post on Facebook. I'm sure you saw it. Motivation comes and goes like waves. Discipline is like a mountain. It stays. It stays with you. Discipline over motivation. I tell people this all the time. And this all boils down going back to not really genetics, but like what your mindset is. Do you want to have that discipline? Like, do you want to, if you want it bad enough, you're going to make it happen no matter what, regardless, no matter the cost, whatever, like, sacrifice your time, whatever time that you have.
Striving for personal greatness.
Absolutely. And when people think that they have to be in a gym for over an hour and a half, 2 hours, man, that's bullshit. You only need 30 to 45 minutes in a gym. That you should be spending no longer than an hour in the gym. And if you're spending longer than an hour in the gym, that's way too much time.
And I've always worked out high reps, lighter weights. Whereas if you're trying to build bulk, it's low reps, heavier weights.
Right.
My martial arts experience, my time in the martial arts, taught me that it's not good to be big.
No, it is not. Because you're slow, and your ability for as far as flexibility and mobility goes out the window. And you'll tire out so easily. Jiu-jitsu taught me a lot about that, because I was 193 when I did jiu-jitsu last year for 2 months, and now I'm down to 185. It's just like being lighter. Like I said, it feels so much better. When
I was doing, because I played around with some jiu-jitsu. I played around with some Krav Maga. I wrestled for 6 years. 4 years in high school, 2 years in middle school.
Also did wrestling in middle school.
So
Yeah.
I have that. And this is all muscle memory. This is all attained knowledge. It's never really going to go anywhere.
No. It
But
sticks with you, man. It's right here.
but the ability to move quicker than your opponent, should you have one, is always going to outweigh their ability to hit you hard.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
you can identify and do what needs to be done quicker than they can move to initialize the advance. I like watching MMA, and every time, and I won't say every time, but I'll sit and be watching the fight and I'm like, oh, I might have done that differently. Or I might have done something else.
Right.
But you don't really know until you're in that moment and your body reacts instinctively. So, one thing we don't have in our American culture is that idea of the warrior in training.
Yeah.
We don't have, that Norse Scandinavian aspect of you're gonna start learning. You're 5 now. You're gonna start learning how to pick up a sword and use the sword, and here's a shield, and you're gonna learn how to use the shield. We're gonna teach you hand-to-hand combat, and this is gonna be your religion for the next extent of your life. The Spartans had the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's called the Yagoji.
Yagoji, is that what it is?
They got sent off when they were 7 years old.
Yeah. But the only thing we really have to grab onto is our sister countries' martial arts.
Yeah. Right.
And that's not a bad thing. There's people out there that say, oh, Taekwondo's point sparring and it's not really effective. And there's people out there that say karate is absolutely brutal, but it's completely ineffective in certain circumstances. Judo's effective everywhere, but how often are you going to be on the ground?
Right.
Okay. There's pros and cons and different ways of thinking in every single aspect of martial art. But what every single martial art has is the exact same thing that every single faith has, is a way to attain, a way to achieve, and a way to grow. It's all there.
Yeah.
And if you stay on that path and you learn that path and you understand that path, you'll start to discover so many more things about yourself that you never knew. I know what it means to be beaten. I know what it means to lose.
Absolutely.
And I sure as hell didn't get no goddamn participation trophy.
Yeah.
No. You lost.
Yeah.
Lick your wounds. Go back and train some more.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Personal growth.
Learning about what you're not going to do the next time.
Right.
And what you are going to do the next time as well.
Instinctive reaction. It trains regardless of what it is. It trains instinctive reaction.
That is how I honor Thor, is strengthening my mind and my body. And that's what working out does. It strengthens you mentally and physically. And also, as crazy as it sounds, cold showers. Because that really, I don't know if you ever done a cold shower, but like a cold rinse after, like, you wash
Right,
off
yeah,
and
yeah.
you rinse off and stuff like that. But doing a cold shower, like, it really, it has a lot of benefits to the human body, like, it boosts your immune system. It's great for your hair and your skin. It doesn't dry your skin out. It also burns the brown fat in your body as well. It improves your mood. It also helps you learn how to deal with difficult situations, like being in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to be comfortable and being uncomfortable.
Or necessarily adaptable.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can.
So as far as working out, I think of it as like, my self-ascending, being better than yesterday. And that's how it should be. You always want to ascend for yourself and I also like, you know, for me, is that I want Thor to be proud of me, you know, for being strong physically, mentally, and emotionally, spiritually. So that's one. The second thing is, so I know the distinction between a crow and a raven, and this is another animal I was going to talk about is a raven. That's also like how I feel like I'm connecting with the gods and also honoring them is like, you know, when I hear a raven, because we have them in this area, I know you've heard them, and they have a very distinct call. They're so different from a crow's. So, but the you know, ravens are associated with Odin, you know, Hugin and Munin.
Memory.
Yes. So hearing them every single time, or when I see them, like, you know how much larger. I don't know if you ever seen a crow and a raven side by side.
Yeah,
like
it's about 50.
flying,
Yeah, like 50% larger.
They are half the size, double like the size of a crow. They're like two crows in one.
Yeah.
They're huge. So, but when I see them, it's just like the energy, the essence, what you were saying earlier, the essence I feel from them. The gods are like watching me
Last week,
through them. So,
I'm taking my son to school.
Yeah.
We're pulling up, and like there's generally 3 or 4 teachers standing outside, you know, getting the kids out of their parents' cars. But all of the teachers, they're like looking up, getting the next kid out of the car, and I'm driving forward, and I'm like, what the heck are they looking at? And then we pull up right in front of the school, and I see it. There's this massive raven just sitting on top of the peak of the roof at the school, and all these teachers just keep looking up. And hey, John, I want a good report from you today from school. He's like, why, Dad? He's like, because Odin is watching you today, son. He has sent one of his ravens to your school. You have to understand that Odin is watching.
Absolutely.
He's always watching, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
So many different aspects of so many different of the gods of our faith are just, they in tune with us every single day in the most obscure and random of situations. And it's all meant to be. Just some people are meant to see it, and some aren't. So with that, please hit that like and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate you being here with us tonight. And we're going to see you here again next time. But until then, skål.
Skål.
Hail the gods.